Joining me for the International Week, that was senior journalist here at the RJR Communications Group, RJR Gleaner Group, they should say. Earl Moxham here with us. Good morning to you.
Morning.
Missed you last week. Good to have you back.
Indeed.
We're starting in the UK this morning. Grenfell Tower, what a horrible.
Quite a few things happening in the UK. But in respect of that, the aftermath of that, they have understandably tested a large number of council towers since then. And I think 34 that they have tested have all failed in respect of the material used in terms of the cladding. And so an initiative is being pursued to get people out of there pending the replacement of those flammable material. But some people, surprise, surprise,
not going anywhere,
don't want to leave. But this has brought to the fore that substandard material is being used in so many construction projects in many parts of the world. And it is not, there's a suspicion now that it is not just in these government-owned buildings, that there might be apartment complexes in the private sector as well, and other buildings, commercial buildings, that they could have this, I think they call it aluminum composite material, which is very flammable.
Is there truth to the notion that the Chief of Staff, Theresa May's Chief of Staff, had a file that she was actually sitting on? I read that. That was kind of like in file 13 all the way down, that spoke to the dangers of the material, and that the material is actually banned for use in buildings above a certain number of stories.
Well, I can't authenticate that myself. There have been reports that this was known, and in so many instances you have situations in which governments are aware of possible dangers, and for the purpose of convenience, for expediency, sometimes they do not act upon it because it is inconvenient. If to bastardize Al Gore's famous movie, it can be an inconvenient truth sometimes.
So what comes out of a situation like this?
Well,
manslaughter charges pending?
Yes, that's pending. We haven't heard the end of this, I suspect. There will be detailed inquiries as to what caused this and who should be held responsible and accountable where these things are concerned.
But just the thought that it could have been prevented is incredible, because those lives don't come back.
They won't come back, and many people, those who survive, will be left scarred physically and emotionally forever.
Wow. Okay. All right. So we're the royal family. Prince Harry wanted out.
Are you surprised? No, he wanted out of the royal family because he felt that it was too constraining, and I'm not surprised given the way his mother had been bringing him up alongside his brother William. But he decided that rather than breaking from the royal family and breaking from royal duties, that he would find a way to channel his energies, and that's why he got into the military. And did 2 terms, I think, in Afghanistan before it was revealed that he was there and became too dangerous. And then post that period, he has engaged in many charities, including supporting wounded military veterans, etc.
Yeah.
He went on to say in that interview in which he made this particular statement that the younger royals recognize the need to modernize the institution. They believe it should continue, but they see the need to modernize it. In fact, he explicitly said it cannot continue in the way that the Queen has operated. And very interestingly, a few days ago, when Prince William went to visit some of the survivors of that same Grenfell Tower fire, there was a particular lady who was so overcome with emotion and grief that he, quote unquote, broke royal protocol by going forward and embracing the lady. No, that's a very human emotion.
Yes,
but
breaking royal protocol.
He had to be breaking royal protocol in the presence of his grandmother, who obviously understands that they have to change with the times.
He reminds me a lot of his mom, and what we knew of her, the kind of compassion that we knew Diana for. And it's interesting because he's breaking protocol also by kind of speaking about this kind of thing. He did an interview a couple of months ago where he spoke about getting counseling after she died because he was going in the wrong direction. So he really is kind of, He's modernizing even as he speaks.
Which of the two are we speaking of?
We're
Because the two of
talking
them, both William and Harry are
Well,
happily
Harry,
speaking
in
out.
this regard, seems to be more of a vulnerable character than William, or portrays himself to be that person
Yes.
than William does. I find.
Still in the UK, by the way, Theresa May has finally been able to cobble together an agreement with the Democratic Unionists in Northern Ireland, and so she has now been guaranteed their support and important votes going forward. It's not officially a coalition government, but she will have the votes so that her government does not collapse. But of course, Jeremy Corbyn still believes that it won't be long before he is Prime Minister. I don't know whether that is so.
There's a story that you tweeted the other day about her legacy kind of being dead.
Well, it's difficult to see the government surviving the full term. And I think she'll come under increasing pressure from her own party. And they will see her as being so vulnerable. I think they will want a change at some point. And this government could collapse before the 5 years. And therefore, I think it would be wise to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
I want to quickly take you across to Africa.
Let's go. We have 2 minutes.
The president of Tanzania, fairly recently in the job, he has been getting rave reviews for his anti-corruption drive, for example. However, he has really made some people angry now by talking about keeping pregnant schoolgirls out of school after they have had the children. Now, this is the 21st century, and he's saying that they don't belong in school anymore, having become mothers. Now, you're talking about destroying their futures. He says, as far as the men are concerned, they should be sent to prison for 30 years. But how does that help put it this way?
Fathers should be sent to prison for 30 years.
Whatever the punishment that might be due to them, depending on the circumstances and their age, etc. In terms of the future of this young mother and the child, I'm not sure how much that helps it, but more importantly, how does excluding her from an education forever, how does that help her or the child? And so he has come under a lot of attack for that particular statement. He has been fairly popular because, as I said, of his anti-corruption drive, but in respect of this, he certainly comes across as being very, very backward.
Rather. I mean, we have a system here that works really well. Hopefully he will change his mind on that. We'll see if public pressure mounts and causes him to perhaps make a U-turn.
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah, we will. Yeah. So are we done?
I think we're done.
Sure we're done?
I'm not mentioning a certain name this morning.
Max, are you sure we're done?
Absolutely not mentioning a certain name.
Okay.
He should not be named this morning.
Okay. It doesn't feel quite right, but we're going to wrap it up then. Are you sure? I'm giving you one more chance. Okay.
The Americans are cutting back on meat importation from Brazil, by the way. And I still won't mention that name.
Senior journalist here with the RJ Anglina Communication Group, Earl Moxham, not mentioning that name this morning. Up next, Regional HIV Testing Day. We've got more on Smile. This is 722. We'll be right back with more in a bit.